Yesterday, we were talking about a young devotee who was very faithful, or who had possessed faith and confidence, Saddha, requested his teacher to give him the method to be free from existential suffering, beginning with the easy practice of dana and slowly being pulled along step by step towards higher and higher practices. When one is doing dana, one is not doing for one's benefit. One is only wishing to be liberated from suffering. In this way, one is overcoming the excessive or extreme form of greed and hatred, because also one is dealing with loving kindness and compassion. Because this young man is doing it with real purpose, with good objectives, to be free from suffering. He is not deluded. He was not deluded, thus he was free from moha, delusion. In this way, he was said to be causing reduction of the greed, hatred and delusion. We say, for this we say, he was giving minus sign to these negative emotions. Because he was not also expecting any gains, fame and honor as a result of good deeds. And he was not doing it for his benefit. He was doing it for the benefit of others. Thus, he was free from anger, aversion, or ill will, because he was doing it with compassion. There was no thoughts or acts of cruelty. And also, he was not doing it very lightly, like children giving away things. He was doing it with good purpose. Thus he was free from the extreme form of negative emotions. If, on the other hand, he was doing it without the sincere purpose of liberation from suffering, then such kind of dana would be graded as inferior. If he did in this way, then giving his mind uncontrolled all the time, he will be indulging in these negative emotions and committing wrongdoing by body and speech. And then he would be having this inferior motives which would degrade him, because such motives are not proper. So in this way, the extreme form of these negative emotions were overcome by just performance of generosity, dana. Thus he was not indulging in these negative emotions. Thus there won't be any wrongdoing as a result of these emotions, and there will be only abstention from misconduct. So such kind of dana would put him on the right track, on the path of the Dhamma, and also would open the way to good conduct. Hence, the teacher first gave him this instruction, his teaching, to do dana, then to the practice of moral virtue, beginning with the taking the vows of 5 precepts. And since the young man was not satisfied with what he was taught or what he was doing, he was not satisfied with the wholesome deeds that he was doing, just as the Buddha has said, one should not be satisfied with just the ordinary wholesome deeds. So he made an advance. He wanted to progress in his wholesome deed. Thus, he was given these 10 precepts, which he observed. Such things are very noteworthy and something for us to emulate. Because one is doing it in a high-level way, when one is doing it with good objectives, good purpose, this will be the cause for good benefits, happy consequences in his or her own right. For instance, if one is doing dana with good objectives, one is bound to be fulfilled with the conditions of food, clothing and shelter. As much as one does dana with good volition, kirana, then one is bound to realize the benefit of that practice. And this will become a source for prosperity in the world. And as a human being, it is necessary for oneself to be fulfilled with these necessities or essentials, such as essentials for food, clothing and shelter, not only for oneself, but also for one's family, one's relatives, one's community, and later one's nation. It is very important to be in this way. If dana is well done, it is more likely that one will become fulfilled with these conditions, so that one will be able to survive or stand firmly in one's life, one's condition, and one will become prosperous and great. While we are traversing around the births and deaths, traversing around samsara, the round of births and deaths, or the round of rebirths, we need something to depend upon, so that our life will not be degraded. We need wealth, we need prosperity, so that we will not be degraded in our living conditions. And such practices, such results will be realized with the practice of dana kusala, the wholesome deed of generosity. This also is approved by the Buddha. If one is doing with good purpose, then one is bound to realize the benefit throughout one's lifetime, by way and also through our future existences, as a good benefit in the rebirth consciousness, and also good benefit along one's life process. It is also said as this becomes the adornment of life, or life's adornment. So one will be fulfilled with these necessities as regards food, clothing and shelter, and also one will be able to live like other human beings. One's status will not be degraded as a human being, as a human being among human beings. One should be able to live in this way in one's own right, and also practice and have one's faith, religion. It is quite commendable. As such, in the world of human beings, it is a good practice to be able to do dana, so that there will be dana, the giver will be responded, will receive response by way of greatness and prosperity, so that one's life will not be degraded, one's life will not become ugly. As regards this dana, the essence of this dana lies in the opening of the way to the practice of sila sikha, morality training. Because one will not be doing wrong things by body and speech. Instead, one will be able to abstain from such wrongdoing, such as one will abstain from physical misconduct, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and verbal misconduct, such as false speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, and meaningless talk. In this way, one will be able to abstain from 3 physical misconduct and 4 verbal misconduct very easily. This means that one will be able to control oneself. One will be able to control oneself from wrongdoing. Thus, one is said to be winning over oneself, because one is able to control oneself. Then others also will not be affected, or will not be afflicting others at the same time, indirectly. By controlling yourself, you are not harming indirectly. In this way, you are accomplishing 2 things by doing 1 thing. And during the time of dana, you are doing it with loving kindness, with patience and tolerance. You'll be free from aversion, anger, ill will, or greed, or attachment, especially because of this altruistic feeling, with sympathy, in the sense that because you don't want to suffer, you know that others also will not wish to suffer. In this way, you are not, by not doing wrongdoing, by abstaining from wrongdoing, you are also saving others. Although there may be occasions, you may encounter occasions to do wrongdoing, you will abstain from doing such things. In this way, there are 2 ways. By controlling yourself, you are not affecting others. And in another way around, with compassionate feeling, you are not doing harm to others. In this way, you are not defiled, you are not doing any wrongdoing. Thus you are able to control yourself. In this way, you accomplish 2 things by doing 1 thing. In the performance of akusala, or committing bad, unwholesome deeds, indulging in these negative emotions, the source or the encouraging factors are none other than lack of moral shame and lack of moral fear, called ahirika anuttappa. They are inferior form of mental powers. Not being able to abstain from the lower form of unwholesome deeds, not detesting, not fearing to commit wrongdoing physically and mentally, and physically and verbally, and also not detesting or fearing the unwholesome consequences of such deeds. Hence they are known as encouraging factors, or ahirika anotapa, encouraging factors for the negative emotions or unwholesome deeds. And so also in the case of abstention from unwholesome deeds, based on non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. They are the positive mental powers known as hiri and ottappa, possessing moral shame and moral fear about committing such things, and also possessing moral fear, moral shame and moral fear about realizing the negative consequences of such wrongdoing. And these positive mental powers are known as hiri ottappa, the reverse of the former ones, the previous ones. In this way, one will be able to control oneself so as not to make mistakes, not to do wrongdoing, and in this way one is indirectly protecting others so that others will not be harmed. And on the other hand, in another sense, with compassionate feeling, you are protecting others so that others are not affected. In this way, you are also not doing any wrong thing. Automatically, you are not defiled. You are controlling yourself automatically. Because if you indulge in these negative emotions and commit wrongdoing, you are bound to be tormented and oppressed and afflicted by these unwholesome deeds. And also, not only yourself are afflicted, but you will be afflicting the society as a whole. Buddha says that in the abstention from unwholesome deeds, one has got to possess these two wholesome mental powers, namely hiri ottappa, moral shame and moral fear of wrongdoing. And these two mental states are known as sukha dhamma, that is, white states, or things with white background. Anything with white background, or anything which is made of white things, will repel heat or light and absorb good things, because we are abstaining from unwholesome deeds. And the reverse of that is ahirika anotapa. This is lack of moral shame, moral fear, shamelessness or fearlessness or wrongdoing. And these two things are known as kana dhamma, that is the black background, or things with black background, which tends to absorb heat, not repel it. Hence one will be committing adhamma, non-dhamma things, leading to wild actions. In this way one is said to be absorbing suffering. And now as for these wholesome mental factors, namely hiri ottappa, moral shame and moral fear, because they are white background, they will repel the heat of unwholesomeness, the heat of impurities, and in this way it will bring about peace and happiness. Just as one is able to abstain from these unwholesome deeds with the practice of these hiri-ottappa, moral shame and moral fear. You can at other times abstain from unwholesome deeds with the practice of compassion or based on compassion, so that you don't make any mistakes, you don't commit wrongdoing. Whichever way you choose, you will not be destroying your own little world, nor afflicting or affecting the world of the society. And the world of the society will be automatically controlled. Hence, these two wholesome mental powers, hiri-ottappa, are known as guardians of the world, loka pala. With the indulgence in negative emotions, one would be destroying one's own little world, at the same time destroying the world of others. And the encouraging factors of these actions are none other than ahirika, anottappa, lack of moral shame, lack of moral fear, or shamelessness, or fearlessness, or wrongdoing. If we possess positive mental powers, hiri-ottappa, then by abstaining from unwholesome deeds, we are controlling ourselves so that our world will not be destroyed. And as much as our little world is not destroyed, the world of the society will not be afflicted. Thus, it becomes, the society is indirectly guarded or protected, leading to peace and happiness. At other times, with compassionate feeling or altruistic feeling, we wish to protect others, so as others are not affected. By doing so, automatically we are not harmed, we are not defiled. In this way, our world will not be destroyed. Hence also, they become known as the guardian of the world, loka pala. If one possesses these two wholesome mental states, or loka pala, then one will be behaving like a human being. One will be human-like, or one will be fully human being. Otherwise, we will not be different from animals. Although we may be called human being, but we are not behaving like human being. If only everyone in the world will be able to possess these two wholesome mental states, namely hiri-ottappa, moral shame and moral fear or wrongdoing, then we will not be destroying our little world. We need to do that, because this is a source for peace and happiness in the world. If only each of us can possess such things, then we will be controlling our little world, and by controlling our little world, we will be contributing peace and happiness to the rest of the world. In this way, we will be able to establish world peace. However, if you look at the majority of people in the world, they in most cases possess ahirika anottappa, that is lack of moral shame and lack of moral fear or wrongdoing, and indulging in these unwholesome mental states. They have the courage, but that courage is to do unwholesome deeds, akusalas, such as they dare kill, steal, commit sexual misconduct, indulging in false speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, meaningless talk. And in this way, they are possessing wrong courage, not the right one. So that they are weak in their courage to abstain from unwholesome deeds. Thus, the world is infected with a lot of incurable diseases, roga bhaya, the danger of diseases. And based on this moral shamelessness, moral fearlessness of wrongdoing, people tend to commit inhuman activities, amanusa, inhuman behaviors, so that they are bound to meet with dangers. Because they are very strong in these negative emotions, lobha, dosa, moha, and they suffer from the lack of enough food, clothing and shelter in some parts of the world, causing famine. And in this way, there are three dangers prevailing in the world, and the real source, the root cause lies in the extreme, in the indulgence in extreme form of these negative emotions. And instead of extinguishing these negative emotions, we tend to encourage these negative emotions with lack of moral shame and moral fear of wrongdoing. So if only one will be able to sustain sila, moral virtue, with the practice of the minimum of 5 precepts, then one will be able to control oneself. And in a sense, if one can abstain from wrongdoing by body and speech, with the possession of wholesome mental states, hiri, ottappa, moral shame and moral fear of wrongdoing, and also if one can protect oneself with altruistic feeling, protecting others at the same time, we'll be able to overcome the internal enemies. They're known as akusala or kilesa vira, the impurity and enemies by way of impurities and unwholesomeness. If only one can sustain these 5 precepts, we will be able to overcome these gross forms of defilements and thus be able to win victory over the impurities, kilesa, enemies. As much as one sustains sila, morality, one will be free from transgressive forms of defilements, how commendable. Because one is able to extinguish the internal or win over the internal enemy, we also will be able to overcome the external enemies, such as enemies by way of human beings or living beings. Because it is very important to overcome the internal enemies which are within us. As regards the animate enemies, human enemies or animal enemies, they are encountered only at times, not very often. So, if one cannot extinguish this internal enemy, then one's status will be degraded. It will be most dangerous, such as one will meet with such dangers as danger of self-blame. This is the first thing that one will encounter, known as atanu varapaya. One will be blaming oneself, reproaching oneself for having done wrong things. As regards the danger of being punished by the authorities, one may be able to shun or evade this kind of punishment if one is clever enough. But if one has, as for the natural laws, that is the chirana, the volition, one will not be able to evade or avoid this volition by which you have done wrongdoing. So as much as you behaved with the wrong volition, you are bound to be degraded. Especially at the time of near death, you will be remembering it and you will die deluded. And as regards this reproach or blame by the society, especially the virtuous or wise people. And it is also necessary not to be censured by the society for your wrongdoing. Otherwise, you will be, they will not associate with you. You will be ostracized and not be admitted into the society. Such will be the danger as regards social conditions. So, and also as regards danger of falling into destinies. Because of the result of this wrong volition, as much as your present life will not be in good shape, your future existences also will not be in good shape as a result of your bad conduct and bad behaviors. So these are the 4 dangers that you will encounter if you are not able to sustain these 5 precepts, to sustain the moral virtue, because you will not be able to overcome these internal enemies. You are bound to encounter these 4 dangers. If only you are able to sustain these 5 precepts in the minimum, this will be the basic source for the establishment of world peace. If one has these unwholesome mental powers, ahirika anotapa, one will be committing wrongdoing, and thus one's physical, verbal, mental behavior will become impure and will be of inferior quality. If on the other hand one possesses hiri-ottappa, one will not be defiled even in this very life, because one is not committing unwholesome deeds. As much as one abstains from unwholesome deeds, one is bound to possess good quality. And in this way one will shine with good quality, such is known as Deva-dhamma. And one who possesses this will become good administrators as a human being, and as devas they will shine with such qualities in the deva world. And if they practice satipatthana bhavana, they will reach the ultimate stage of arahantship, which is known as visuddhi deva. And even if they realize the first supermundane path, they will shine with good qualities of sila samadhi panya in their own right. Thus they will come to possess this quality known as Deva-dhamma. So it is necessary to be able to strive to possess these 2 wholesome mental powers, hiri-ottappa, abstaining from doshritas, such as 3 kinds of unwholesome deeds, physical unwholesome deeds, kaya doshrita, and verbal misconduct, vaci doshrita, which can be overcome by the practice of sila. And as for the 3rd unwholesomeness, that is mental unwholesomeness, this can be overcome by the practice of mindfulness. And thus, with the practice of insight knowledge and noble path, knowledge of the noble ones, one will be able to eradicate the latent tendencies of defilements. So, with the practice of the 3 trainings, one should be able to realize at least the first path, so that one will never fall into the inferior states. If one is able to possess the hiri-ottappa, then one will shine with good qualities. Now the yogis are practicing with hiri-ottappa, abstaining from unwholesome deeds, and even being shamed and fearful of losing their mindfulness. They are practicing in this way, so that and then they are sustaining these precepts so as not to break or tear them. In this way they are protecting themselves, and sort of wishes that you be able to protect your little world and thus protect the world of others. That's all for today.